Deep in the monitoring station on Mars Base Alpha, Tom Reed sat hunched over his console, his eyes growing heavy after 12 hours of watching empty space signals. The year was 2157, and humanity had spread across the solar system, establishing colonies on Mars, Venus, and several moons of Jupiter. But they hadn't yet encountered any alien life. That was about to change. The first sign came as a slight irregularity in the background radiation, something that would have been missed if Tom hadn't spent years learning to recognize patterns in the cosmic noise. He adjusted his instruments, focusing on the anomaly, and felt his heart skip a beat when the random static began to organize itself into distinct pulses. "Computer, analyze signal pattern," Tom commanded, his voice barely above a whisper. The massive processing units hummed to life, dissecting the incoming transmission. Minutes stretched like hours as complex algorithms worked to decode what he was receiving. Then the message appeared on his screen, crystal clear and terrifying in its simplicity. "Surrender your worlds or be eradicated. You have 24 Earth hours to comply." Tom's hands trembled as he initiated the emergency protocol. Within minutes, the highest levels of Earth's United Defense Command were awakened from their beds, and emergency meetings were called across every human settlement in the solar system. The message repeated itself every hour, each time growing stronger, suggesting that whoever sent it was getting closer. Military satellites detected a massive fleet of unknown vessels approaching from beyond Pluto's orbit, moving at speeds that defied human physics. Admiral James Walker, commander of Earth's combined fleet, stood before the emergency council, his weathered face grave as he delivered his report. "The alien fleet outnumbers us 10-1. Their technology appears to be centuries ahead of ours. By conventional metrics, this is an unwinnable fight." The room fell silent, the weight of impending doom pressing down on every soul present. Then the Admiral's expression hardened, a fierce light entering his eyes. "But they've made one critical mistake," he continued, his voice growing stronger. "They assumed we would choose between surrender and extinction. They don't understand that humanity has a third option: we fight. And when humanity fights for survival, we become something else entirely." Across the solar system, humanity's response to the ultimatum began. Factory ships that once mined asteroids were converted into weapons platforms. Civilian vessels were fitted with makeshift armor and weapons. Every man, woman, and child who could contribute to the war effort volunteered without hesitation. The aliens had given humanity 24 hours to surrender. Instead, they gave humanity 24 hours to prepare for war. They would soon learn why threatening human existence was the last mistake any species should make. As the alien fleet drew closer, Admiral Walker issued a response to their transmission, a single sentence that would be remembered in human history for generations to come. "We choose to fight." The next 20 hours transformed the solar system into a war machine. On Mars, deep beneath the red dust, engineers worked frantically to modify mining lasers into defense weapons. The massive drills that once carved through Martian rock were being converted into railgun barrels that could launch projectiles at incredible speeds. In Earth's orbit, Linda Brown, chief of the space station Unity, coordinated the largest evacuation in human history. Civilian stations were being cleared, their inhabitants moved to underground bunkers on Earth, Mars, and the Moon. But not everyone wanted to evacuate. "I'm staying," announced Mike Thompson, a civilian mechanic on Unity Station. "I know more about these systems than any military engineer. You'll need people like me when the fighting starts." Across the station, hundreds of civilians made the same choice, volunteering to convert their technical skills into warfare expertise. The aliens, meanwhile, had maintained their silence beyond the hourly ultimatum. Earth scientists studied each transmission, discovering something remarkable hidden within the signal structure. Dr. Alan White, lead researcher at the Lunar Observatory, made the breakthrough. "The signal contains their tactical data," he explained to Admiral Walker over an encrypted channel. "They're so confident, they're not even trying to hide their communications. We can see their fleet formations, their ship classifications, even their energy signatures. They think we're too primitive to decode it. Admiral Walker's strategy room aboard the flagship Earth's Hope had become the center of humanity's resistance. Holographic displays showed the approaching alien fleet, over 1,000 ships arranged in a perfect geometric pattern. But patterns had weaknesses. Look here, Walker pointed to a section of the formation. Their ships maintain exact distances from each other. They're rigid, inflexible. That's not confidence, that's arrogance. And arrogance can be exploited. The plan that emerged was audacious. Humanity couldn't match the aliens in technology or numbers, but they could fight in ways the aliens wouldn't expect. The precision of the alien formation suggested a species that relied heavily on order and predictability. Humanity would give them chaos instead. In asteroid fields across the solar system, miners began planting fusion charges in strategic rocks. Solar power satellites were repositioned, their massive mirrors ready to reflect concentrated sunlight as makeshift weapons. Even the space junk orbiting Earth, thousands of defunct satellites and rocket parts, was being gathered into clouds of deadly debris. With 4 hours remaining, Admiral Walker addressed the combined human forces. They expect us to fight like they do, with proper formations and predictable tactics. They expect us to be afraid. But fear is humanity's ally. Fear drives us to achieve the impossible. Fear makes us dangerous. When the battle begins, remember, we're not fighting to match their perfection. We're fighting to survive. And that makes us more dangerous than they can imagine. On Earth, the emergency broadcast system activated. People gathered around screens and holographic displays as the President of the United Defense Council delivered humanity's official response to the alien ultimatum. To the approaching fleet, we've received your demand for surrender. We've studied your transmission, analyzed your approach, and considered our options. Humanity's answer is this: we will not surrender. We will not submit. You've given us 24 hours to prepare for extinction. Instead, we've used that time to prepare for war. You believe you're hunting prey. You're about to learn you've awakened a predator. As the deadline approached, humanity's transformed fleet took position. Converted cargo ships, armed civilian vessels, and hastily upgraded military craft formed a scattered, seemingly chaotic defense line. To the aliens, it must have looked like desperation. They couldn't know that every apparent weakness was deliberate, every gap in the defense a carefully laid trap. The final hour began to count down. Across the solar system, humanity waited in tense silence. They had done all they could to prepare. Now it was time to show the galaxy why you should never corner a species that had spent its entire existence learning to survive against the odds. The 24-hour deadline expired with a new transmission from the alien fleet: your time is over. Prepare for extinction. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of Earth's Hope, watching as the alien armada dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their ships were beautiful in a terrifying way, perfectly symmetrical crystalline structures that seemed to glow from within. The smallest of their vessels was larger than humanity's biggest battleship. All ships, maintain position, Walker ordered, his voice steady despite the overwhelming odds. Remember your training. Wait for my signal. The alien fleet moved forward in their precise formation, approaching Mars' orbit. Their confidence was clear, they didn't even bother to scan for threats. Why would they? Their sensors showed only a scattered collection of primitive human vessels, many of them clearly civilian craft hastily fitted with weapons. That's when humanity played its first card. Mining Team Alpha, execute Operation Avalanche, Walker commanded. Deep in the asteroid belt, hundreds of fusion charges detonated simultaneously. The explosions didn't just destroy the asteroids, they turned them into weapons. Thousands of rock fragments, each carefully calculated in size and trajectory, began hurtling toward the alien fleet. The aliens' perfect formation became their weakness. They moved like a single organism, beautiful and graceful, but slow to react to the unexpected. The first waves of asteroids slammed into their ships, creating chaos in their precisely maintained patterns. "They're breaking formation," reported Bill Foster from Tactical Control. "Their shields are strong, but they're spending too much energy maintaining their positions. Just as we predicted, they can't handle disorder." The alien response was swift but predictable. They launched energy weapons that turned asteroids to dust, but for every rock they destroyed, 3 more were approaching from different angles. Their formation began to splinter as ships moved independently to avoid the debris. That's when Walker unleashed the second phase of humanity's plan. All solar arrays, execute Operation Daybreak. Across the solar system, hundreds of solar power satellites rotated in perfect synchronization, their massive mirrors focusing the sun's energy into concentrated beams. The light show was spectacular and deadly. Alien ships found themselves caught between the hammer of incoming asteroids and the anvil of focused solar energy. "Sir," called out Rita Jones from communications, "we're detecting confusion in their transmissions. They're sending rapid updates to their entire fleet, trying to coordinate a response. They've never encountered these tactics before." The alien fleet's response revealed another weakness: they relied heavily on central coordination. Each ship waited for instructions rather than acting independently. In the chaos of battle, this delay proved costly. Walker watched as the alien formation continued to deteriorate. "Launch our first attack wave. Target their communication nodes." Humanity's ships moved in, but not in any formation the aliens could predict. Each captain had been given a simple order: cause chaos. Mining ships used their reinforced hulls to ram smaller alien vessels. Converted cargo ships launched salvos of makeshift missiles, cargo containers filled with explosive mining charges. Even space stations joined the fight, using their rotation to fling chunks of debris with deadly accuracy. The aliens finally managed to organize a counterattack. Their energy weapons were devastating, cutting through human ships with terrible efficiency. But humanity had expected losses. What mattered was that the aliens' perfect strategy was falling apart. "Sir," Foster called out, "their flagship is transmitting a new message." The alien transmission was different this time, shorter, urgent. "What are you?" Walker smiled grimly as he authorized the response: "We are humanity. We are what happens when you corner a species that has spent its entire existence fighting to survive. You offered us submission or extinction. We choose neither. We choose victory." As if to punctuate his words, another wave of asteroids slammed into the alien fleet, followed by concentrated solar beams. The battle was far from over, but humanity had achieved something remarkable. They had shaken the aliens' confidence. Now it was time to show them exactly what humanity could do when fighting for survival. The alien fleet's perfect formation had shattered, but they were far from defeated. Their ships regrouped into smaller, more manageable units, adapting to humanity's chaotic strategy. As their initial shock wore off, their technological superiority began to show. "We've lost 30% of our fleet," reported Bill Foster, his voice tight with tension. "The aliens are learning, sir. They're starting to predict our asteroid trajectories." Admiral Walker nodded grimly. "Then it's time for Phase 3. Signal the moon base." Deep beneath the lunar surface, in what had once been a helium-3 mining facility, Dr. Alan White and his team activated their secret weapon. For hours, they had been analyzing the alien ship's energy signatures, looking for weaknesses. What they found was revolutionary. "The alien shields operate on a frequency we can disrupt," Dr. White explained over the command channel. "Their technology is advanced, but it follows predictable patterns. We've modified our communication arrays to broadcast at exactly the right frequency. The modified arrays powered up, sending invisible waves of energy across space. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, alien shields began to flicker. All ships, this is Walker, the Admiral broadcast. Concentrate fire on vessels with weakened shields. And launch the drones. From hidden bays across the solar system, thousands of small, unmanned craft emerged. They were simple machines, built from stripped-down mining robots and controlled by basic AI. What made them deadly was their unpredictability. Each drone had been programmed with randomized attack patterns based on chaos theory. The alien fleet, accustomed to fighting against logical, predictable opponents, struggled to counter these erratic attackers. Their advanced targeting systems, designed to predict enemy movements, were nearly useless against machines that moved randomly. On Unity Station, Linda Brown coordinated the civilian support efforts. Repair crews, focus on our military vessels. Let the civilian ships run at minimal capacity. Every bit of power we save goes to the shield disruptors. The battle transformed into a war of attrition. Humanity couldn't match the aliens' firepower, but they could exhaust their resources. Every time the aliens adapted to one tactic, humans switched to another. Mining lasers became weapons, then decoys, then targeting jammers. "Sir," Rita called out, "we're intercepting their communications. They're arguing. Some ships want to retreat and regroup. Others are demanding full attack." Walker seized the opportunity. "Target their command ships. Break their chain of command. Let's see how well they fight when each captain has to think for themselves." The human fleet split into smaller groups, each targeting a different alien command ship. The strategy was costly. Dozens of human vessels were destroyed in suicide runs, but it worked. Without central coordination, the alien fleet began to fragment further. Then came the transmission that changed everything. From one of the larger alien ships, "This is Subcommander First Rank. Main command vessel has gone silent. All ships, initiate Protocol 7-." The transmission cut off abruptly as a converted mining ship, its reactor deliberately destabilized, rammed the alien vessel at near-light speed. The resulting explosion created a temporary sun in space. "Their command structure is broken," Walker announced to the fleet. "Now we show them how humanity fights when we're unchained. All ships, execute free attack protocol. Hit them from every direction. Don't let them regroup." The solar system erupted into chaos. Human ships darted between alien vessels, striking from unexpected angles. Drones swarmed in their thousands, overwhelming alien point defenses. The modified lunar arrays continued broadcasting, weakening alien shields at crucial moments. One alien ship, its crystal structure cracked and failing, transmitted a message that would be remembered in human history: "What manner of beings are you? You fight without logic, without pattern, without fear of death." Walker's response was immediate: "We are human. Chaos is our weapon. Survival is our pattern. And death? Death has been humanity's teacher since we first looked up at the stars. You're about to learn what those lessons taught us." As the battle entered its 6th hour, both sides had suffered heavy losses. The space around Mars glittered with debris, fragments of both human and alien ships creating a deadly cloud that became another weapon in humanity's arsenal. "Status report," Walker commanded, his voice hoarse from issuing orders. "We've lost 60% of our combat vessels," Bill reported from Tactical. "But the aliens have lost 40% of their fleet. More importantly, they're burning through energy trying to maintain their shields against our disruptor waves." Dr. White's voice crackled over the command channel. "Admiral, we've detected something interesting. The alien ships are drawing power from each other through some kind of energy transfer system. When we destroy one ship, it weakens the others connected to it. This information sparked an idea in Walker's mind. Like a power grid, he mused. And what happens to a grid when too many connections break at once? The answer could turn the tide of battle, but executing such a plan would cost more lives. Walker looked at the tactical display, where hundreds of brave humans were already fighting and dying to protect their species. The decision was clear. All commands, this is Walker. Prepare for Operation Blackout. Civilian ships, fall back to defensive positions. Military vessels, form up into strike groups. Linda Brown's voice came from Unity Station. Admiral, the civilian ships request permission to participate. They know it's likely a one-way mission. Walker closed his eyes for a moment. Permission granted. Their courage will be remembered. The plan was simple but devastating. Human ships would target specific alien vessels simultaneously, overloading the energy transfer system. The timing had to be perfect, they would only get one chance before the aliens adapted. Strike groups, coordinate your targets, Walker ordered. Fire on my mark. The remaining human fleet organized with practiced precision, a stark contrast to their earlier chaos. The aliens, noticing this change in behavior, began to adjust their defenses. But they didn't understand what was coming. All ships, activate nuclear cores to maximum, Walker commanded. Prepare to overload on my signal. Rita's voice cut through the tension. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet, your formation suggests surrender. Submit now, and some may be spared. Walker smiled grimly. Send them our response, humanity doesn't form up to surrender. We form up to strike. The human fleet surged forward as one. The aliens, expecting a conventional attack, maintained their defensive positions. That was their final mistake. Operation Blackout, execute. Hundreds of human ships fired everything they had at predetermined targets. Nuclear cores went critical, turning ships into miniature suns. Makeshift weapons, improvised explosives, and mining charges detonated in a synchronized wave of destruction. The effect on the alien fleet was catastrophic. As their energy transfer system overloaded, entire sections of their fleet went dark. Ships that had been sharing power suddenly found themselves drained. Shields failed. Weapons went offline. Energy cascade detected. Dr. White shouted over the comm, their entire network is collapsing. The aliens' response was immediate but disorganized. Some ships tried to disconnect from the network, while others attempted to reroute power. In their panic, they forgot about the cloud of debris surrounding them. Ships that had lost power drifted into the deadly field, their once beautiful crystal structures shattering on impact. Through it all, Walker watched the tactical display, counting the cost in human lives. Each dot that vanished represented someone who had sacrificed everything to ensure humanity's survival. Their deaths would not be in vain. A new transmission cut through the chaos, not from the alien fleet, but from Earth. The President's voice, strong and clear, to all human forces, you have shown the galaxy what it means to face humanity in battle. Now, show them what it means to face humanity's fury unleashed. End this. The aftermath of Operation Blackout left the alien fleet in disarray, but the battle was far from over. The surviving alien ships, roughly 300 in number, had recovered enough to form a defensive sphere. Their crystalline hulls glowed with a desperate intensity as they prepared for their last stand. They're charging their main weapons, Bill reported from Tactical. Energy readings are off the scale. They're going to try to take as many of us with them as they can. Admiral Walker studied the tactical display. The human fleet had been reduced to less than 200 ships, many of them damaged. But they had something the aliens didn't, the absolute certainty that defeat meant extinction. Humanity had nowhere to retreat to, no fallback position. This was it. All stations, Walker broadcast, "This is our moment." Unity station, status? Linda Brown's voice came through clearly. "Ready, Admiral. All remaining power has been diverted to the shield disruptors. We've modified them to create a feedback loop. One shot, one chance." From the Lunar Observatory, Dr. White added, "The energy buildup in their ships is massive. If we can trigger an overload now, the chain reaction will be catastrophic." Walker took a deep breath. This would be humanity's final push, an all-or-nothing gamble. To all ships, we've shown them our ingenuity. We've shown them our determination. Now we show them our fury. Prepare for final assault. The remaining human fleet moved into position. Civilian ships, their hulls scarred and burning, took their places alongside military vessels. Every survivor, whether soldier or miner, engineer or scientist, prepared for one last charge. The aliens transmitted again, "Your species has earned an honorable death. Accept it with dignity." Walker's response was immediate: "Humanity doesn't accept death. We defy it." "Execute final assault plan," he ordered. "All ships, activate your shadow protocols." This was humanity's last surprise. For hours, engineers had been modifying their ship's engines to run dark, using the debris field as cover. Now, as the alien fleet prepared for a frontal assault, hundreds of human vessels disappeared from their sensors. The aliens' confusion was evident in their transmissions. Their perfect sphere began to shift, sensors straining to locate the vanished human fleet. That's when Walker gave the signal. Now. Human ships erupted from the debris field, emerging from blind spots in the alien sensor network. Each vessel had a specific target, striking from angles calculated to cause maximum chaos. Mining ships used their reinforced hulls as battering rams, breaching the aliens' formation. Civilian craft, their hulls lined with explosive charges, drove straight into enemy vessels. At the same time, Linda's modified shield disruptors activated. The feedback loop caught the aliens by surprise, turning their own energy against them. Shields that had been charging for a final stand suddenly collapsed, leaving ships vulnerable. "Energy cascade detected in multiple vessels," Dr. White reported excitedly. "The chain reaction is starting." The first alien ship exploded, its crystal structure shattering in a brilliant display. The energy release triggered overloads in nearby vessels, creating a domino effect of destruction. The aliens tried to break formation, to escape the chain reaction, but human ships herded them back together, refusing to let them scatter. "This is for Earth," Walker transmitted as another wave of human ships struck. "This is for every human life you threatened. This is humanity's answer to extinction." The alien fleet sphere collapsed into chaos. Ships that tried to escape were caught between the spreading chain reaction and the relentless human assault. Their final transmission came through as their command structure crumbled. "We were wrong. You are not prey. You are." The transmission cut off as the last command ship exploded, taking dozens of surrounding vessels with it. The remaining alien ships, cut off from leadership and surrounded by destruction, began to retreat in panic. Their perfect formation, their advanced technology, their presumed superiority, all of it meant nothing in the face of humanity's desperate, savage determination to survive. The silence that followed the battle was deafening. Where once a mighty alien fleet had threatened humanity's existence, now only debris floated, a glittering field of crystalline shards mixed with the remains of human ships. Of the original alien fleet of over 1,000 vessels, fewer than 50 had fled, vanishing into the depths of space. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of Earth's Hope, his uniform stained with blood from a wound he hadn't even noticed receiving. The tactical display showed the full scope of the battle's cost. Humanity had lost over 70% of its fleet. "Begin search and rescue operations," he ordered, his voice heavy with exhaustion. Priority to civilian vessels. Every survivor matters. From Unity Station, Linda Brown coordinated the rescue efforts. Damaged ships that could still maneuver began picking up escape pods and rescue beacons. The space around Mars became dotted with the lights of rescue vessels, searching through the debris for any signs of life. "Sir," Rita called from communications, "we're receiving reports from across the system. The lunar colonies, Mars bases, all orbital stations, everyone's checking in. We did it. We actually did it." Dr. White's voice came through from the lunar observatory, filled with wonder and sadness. "The cost was enormous, but we've learned so much. Their technology, their tactics, everything they showed us will help us prepare. They won't find humanity so easy to threaten next time." In the days that followed, humanity began to rebuild. The debris field became a salvage ground, with teams carefully collecting both human and alien technology. Every piece of salvaged alien tech was studied, every lesson from the battle analyzed and documented. 1 week after the battle, Admiral Walker stood before the United Defense Council to deliver his final report. The chamber was packed with representatives from every human colony and settlement. "The alien transmission that started this war was meant to break us," he began. "They thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would either surrender or die. Instead, they learned what humanity truly is. We are not defined by our technology, but by our spirit. We are not measured by our peaceful achievements, but by what we become when peace is no longer an option." He paused, looking at the faces before him, humans from Earth, Mars, the Moon, and every settlement in between. All united, all forever changed by what they had experienced. "We lost many brave souls in this battle," he continued. "Soldiers and civilians alike gave their lives not just for survival, but for a principle, that humanity will never bow to extinction. Their sacrifice has taught the galaxy a lesson it will not soon forget." The President rose to speak next. "As of today, the United Defense Council is establishing the Star Guard, a combined fleet built on what we've learned from this conflict. We will salvage what we can from the alien technology, but more importantly, we will remember what made us victorious, our unity, our adaptability, and our indomitable will to survive." In orbit above Earth, construction crews were already at work, converting damaged stations into new shipyards. The sight of civilian and military personnel working side by side became common across the solar system. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, more united than ever before. 1 month after the battle, a final alien transmission was detected, originating from deep space. Unlike the arrogant ultimatum that had started the war, this message was brief and carried a very different tone. "To the species known as humanity, you have earned your place among the stars. We will remember. We will warn others. The galaxy now knows, to threaten Earth is to awaken a force beyond reckoning." Admiral Walker had a simple response prepared, one that would be remembered for generations to come. "Remember this well, humanity does not seek conflict, but neither do we flee from it. We are not your enemy unless you choose to make us so. We are not a species to be conquered, we are humanity, and we will endure."